like on videotape or something, and you talk to a person and ask them a number of questions and put them into different moods, maybe use lighting and so forth and cause them to feel, lighting and music and get them into a happy mood or a loving mood or a romantic mood and made them feel really good about themselves. And then maybe you said you would see certain things in their aura which reflect that. If you caught that same person in a kind of an angry, upset, frustrated mood, then you would see different colors in the aura. So the aura is capable of reflecting and demonstrating the mood that we are in and the knowledge that we have. Now, when we go to use our aura for healing someone else, remember that the aura actually is a magnetic field. There are waves of electronic impulses in that field. So when you are attempting to help someone else, what kind of mood do you want to be in? If you think you're going to loan your aura, so to speak, and merge your aura with someone else, either with your hands or however you're going to do it, in order to be beneficial to a sick person, what kind of mood would you want to be in that would cause your aura to be in a certain state? Well, naturally, you'd want it to be in a healthy one, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to be angry or upset or frustrated or depressed or something, because then that will reflect in your aura. That will reflect in the energy, the magnetic field around your body, and that's no good for somebody else. Likewise, you don't want your ego to get out of control, thinking you're really hot stuff, and you're going to, I'll fix you up, I can heal anybody, that sort of attitude. I'm wonderful, I'm a psychic, I do this for a living, I know what I'm doing, I read a book on it, whatever it may be. I've run into people like that think they are just, God's gift to the healing world. All they have to do is be around you and everything will be wonderful. Well, that would be great if it was true, but most times these people aren't at all. They just think, they do whatever they're going to do, and if you don't respond, they say, well, it's a problem with you. There's something wrong with you that normally works. I don't understand it. So we do have an aura. It is a magnetic field. It does reflect our feelings and thoughts. It also reflects our intelligence. It also radiates the reflections of things like love, hate, satisfaction or dissatisfaction. You can read greed, envy, vice, passion, grievance, despair, doubt, revenge, need, which is a biggie in our society, misery, courage, fear, loyalty, humility, happiness, understanding, balance, energy, and realization. All of these things can be determined and read in an aura once a person is astute and knows exactly what to look for. So an aura is a reflection of how you are thinking at the time and a reflection of the knowledge, the intelligent knowledge that is within you. If you want to have a little fun with that sometime, get a picture of your aura taken. I believe there are certain Polaroid films that capture it. But you want to make sure that it's not being faked. I've seen some people that are just taking lights and flashing lights right onto your body and causing whatever colors to come out just for kind of entertainment value. But if you get an opportunity to actually have it done with someone who has a good process, who knows what they're doing and is using the right equipment, it can be very fascinating to actually see your aura. There are many psychic people who can see your aura, whose eyes they are tuned to sensitive frequencies in the air, and they can actually see your aura in certain conditions. And if you can find someone like that, who that you can trust to be honest and so forth, and not try to just hustle you for some money, find someone like that who knows what they're really doing, and have them tell you all about your aura, the colors, how thick it is, how far it extends out from the body. Learn to understand a little bit about it, and then perhaps you can maybe learn to even see your own aura. Then you would know more about yourself all the time and be able to know how you're responding. Well, here's an interesting idea for you. I got another thought for you. Imagine what it would be like if we could get everybody on the planet now to listen to all these ideas, to learn how to meditate, to study and learn more about themselves, to use meditative immersion to develop and learn about themselves and start reprogramming their thoughts, to learn new knowledge about things and put it into your spiritual self so your personality and character changes. At a certain point, suddenly integrity is going to go up, isn't it? Pretty soon there's far less concern for the material things in life. There's less worry. There's less need and fear. Suddenly everybody's kind of reasonably happy and getting along well. Now, what would it be like if the whole world thought like that? My. Well, just think about these ideas for a little bit. One, there would be an end to religions. There would be no more war. We would have no more, discord and arguing among ourselves. There wouldn't be any more hunger, because we'd care so much about each other that we would feed each other. Plus, people that are well balanced and so forth will learn to take care of themselves. Quite often, many of the people in nature that are starving and hungry and so forth, quite often it's because they just don't take any responsibility for their own lives. Or maybe they're just not able. That's also the case. The financial industry would probably disappear, because economics, which is really kind of a lousy idea when you get to thinking about it, it was obviously designed by a handful of rich people somewhere, because it doesn't really serve the lower classes. It was designed by rich people for control. So it's going to have to change. Probably within 50 to 100 years, economics may actually even disappear on the planet, because it's not really an equitable system that provides quality of life for everyone. So we'll come up with a better system somewhere. We would probably stop manufacturing equipment for war. There wouldn't be any demand. We wouldn't be at war with each other if we all looked at each other as spiritual beings on our own path. If prejudice, hate, and anger kind of dissipated and went away, certain businessmen could no longer launch their dirty schemes. The so-called New York bankers and the Bilderbergers and all of these guys, the big money power people of the world, who really pull the purse strings and make the world jump, well, they wouldn't have a job anymore. They probably wouldn't even know how to react in life if they didn't have their money. There'd be no more popes, priests, politicians, rabbis, gurus, or bishops. What would they do for a living then? All right, so much for daydreaming about the perfect world. There is one way we can start causing our world to move towards a more euphoric state of mind, though. I shouldn't say euphoric. I always used to think of euphoric like we did when we were a kid, when we euphoria, like a city somewhere where everything is perfect. Okay. But there are ways that we can cause, even individually, we can start causing things. We can start causing things to get better on our world, and that has to do with our thoughts also. Because I want you to be aware of something else here. Be aware that your thoughts, even though they're not heard audibly, do radiate beyond your aura. They affect plants, animals, and other people around you. Now, what I'm talking about is when you create a thought in your mind, and there's some force put into it, that thought actually creates an electrical charge in your brain. That electrical charge actually, depending on where it comes from in your brain, if it's from your conscious or your spiritual self, has a certain range to it, a distance to it. And when that thought leaves your mind and moves outside of your body, it goes beyond your aura. It affects out into the aura and is reflected in the aura as you think, but it goes beyond the aura also. So if you think and radiate evil, hate, anger, distrust, or whatever, this goes out into the world and it affects everybody around you. There is a consciousness. There is kind of like an open party line, an open telephone line among all people at the subconscious level. For instance, ask anybody who was around Los Angeles during the riots, when tens of thousands of people rose up in anger and were rioting and were burning buildings and, trying to harm one another. Well, that certainly flows out into the consciousness of the people. Many people, I'm sure, if you ask them, could feel that in their own subconscious. It has an effect. There are over 5 billion people right now alive on the planet Earth. All of those people, very few of them have any respect for the planet itself. They don't even think about the planet. And this has to be a contributing factor into some of the natural disasters and problems that we're going to be facing in the future. Let's think about earthquakes, problem with lower life forms, microspecies. Let's think about problems we might have among the animals and so forth. Maybe we're causing some of that. Maybe we get to a point of population where society is so out of control, there's so much anger and war going on, which we're getting close to if you just watch the news today. All of those thoughts out there create so much fear, prejudice, and so forth, they affect all of us. Well, fortunately, you can protect yourself from conscious thoughts, material conscious thoughts, because those are what Billy calls just primary telepathy. It's on the material side of the mind. Thoughts created by the material consciousness and so forth, you can block against them. You can put up strong feelings of self-protection, of happiness, of love and light around yourself. It's a very powerful force. You can tell yourself daily that I am protected. by an aura of love and charm and happiness, and it serves well, because remember, our aura all around us reflects how we think, right? Well, if you are invaded by outside influences and thoughts that affect your subconscious mind and come in and might make you feel just a little down, a little depressed, or a little fearful of all the things that are going on out there, if you feel that trigger happen, if you feel a little down, stop for a few moments, meditate on the idea of power and love, of universal love. Change your aura to being an aura of strong strength, of love and light, and it becomes forceful. You become very powerful. Within just seconds or minutes, you'll feel your powerful feeling of confidence and self-reliance come back, and the outside world then will bounce off of you. You'll be able to perceive it then from a very balanced viewpoint, and you will also perceive the sadness and all the problems and the anger out there more correctly. You will not respond to them then with any sort of hate or anger, but you will also be giving off your own feelings of unconditional love back to these people who are suffering out there. After all, we must start looking at people that, if they're full of hate and anger and whatever they're doing out there, they're very unhappy. And let's don't look at them as something to strike back at. Let's look at it as another spirit which has been misled. It's another spiritual person, just like ourselves, who's having problems in life. Even if they may appear to be violent or whatever, these are the people that really need our love and really need our help. These are the people who are out of control. These are the people who need inspiration. These are the people who need our help and our inspiration to show them what is correct, how to live properly. And through ourselves, using ourselves as role models, we can do that. You know, if you find 5 or 6 people that are like a gang or something, you could handle a gang. You could talk to people in a gang, explain the concepts we're talking about, of how to develop happy thinking through power of self and meditation and so forth. At first they're going to laugh at you. You've got to expect that. But if you get a chance to work with these people, slowly there will be a breakthrough. If you can get them to calm down, even start with some simple breathing techniques to just breathe and so forth and calm themselves down. And then maybe separate them a little bit so that their collective consciousness, which contributes to their anger, is dissipated somewhat. Get them alone individually and they lose some of that violent strength. Get them alone and start calming them down, and then start teaching them some things. Provide them with some new knowledge, some new things to think about. Show them some new ways. And over a period of time, you could bring that person back into being a happy, well-balanced person. Think of all people in the world as happy, balanced, spiritual people, because the spirit itself never gets out of balance. It's always in there. It never gets illogical. So think of them as their spirits out there, that they're trapped somehow inside of some sort of body that's gone crazy. That this material body out there is infected like with a spiritual disease. So we have to look at them like they just need some help. And what is help to a person who spiritually is trying to defend themselves? Most common help is just to offer them your unconditional love, your logic, your clarity of thinking, so they can sort their problems out. All right, one other thing I want to touch on here is called power thinking. That's a phrase that Billy uses in his book, Power Thinking. He says, since thoughts can be so powerful and not affect ourselves but the world around us, they are the most powerful form of energy there is. He says, remember that the creation started the whole universe with only a thought, which manifested itself into matter and created all there is. So thought is very powerful. No one can really resist a healthy, purposeful, and strong thought. You know, and in any argument or discussion you get into, the last word is usually the person who has the most clear, well thought out, logical statement which brings the argument to a conclusion, the last word on the subject. A good thought is usually filled with what he calls the absolute awareness of the unity with creation. In other words, when you are aware that you are part of creation, that you are connected to it, and you speak from the Spirit, then you are actually speaking with the highest possible logical mind that you can at the time. That's a good thought. Correct power consciousness and positive thinking dissolves all of your difficulties. Well, it does. We've talked about, how you can make yourself feel ill with poor thinking. Likewise, you can also make yourself feel very well with correct thinking. So you also want to learn to control the size of your problems. You know, if you think of them as small, they are. If you start concentrating on a problem and causing it to enlarge and put a lot of energy into your problem, it'll swell up inside of your thinking, kind of like a storm, and it becomes very difficult to knock it down.